Hey, hey, hey. Skull gang, skull gang, skull gang, skull gang, skull gang, skull gang, skull gang. Skull all the way to the bow, man.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. We got a special guest starting off the show with us. We got Dante from East Coast Gridiron. This show's gonna be a little different. So if you follow me on Twitter, Purple Rain 247, this is where you guys can actually jump on. If you have any questions for Dante or myself or just anything football related that you want to get off your chest. How you doing tonight, Dante?
Man, I am doing fine, man. Like my wife's out of town, so you guys hit me. You hit me up on the perfect day.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah, man.
Uh, so how you feeling about this upcoming NFL season?
I'm excited. Um, since we've been doing YouTube, this is. I guess I'm excited for a couple of different reasons. I'm excited because a lot of the players that I like, um, that I've been following for several years now have actually come out and are in the NFL. Jack Campbell, Riley Moss. I know those are two Iowa guys, but those are just the two names that pop up the top of my head right now. Um, I'm excited to see what they can do and if all the stuff that I've been scouting and seeing is actually going to come to fruition on how they're going to play on the field. So I'm excited for that, and I'm also excited because this is like it's kind of was a culmination of last year, but even more so this year. It is I've when I started doing the slider series, I got it feels like I got even more closer to the game than I was before. So I'm excited to see some of those players that I talked about and see if they fare too. Like Bijan Robinson. If everybody knows I'm not super high on him, but and see if he actually proves me wrong. And I like that. I'll be the first one to come out and make an apology video and say I was totally wrong about that player.
Hey, what's up,
So
Holden? Welcome to the show. Hey, thank you for tapping in. Dylan wants to know what jersey you rocking tonight, Dante.
this is the Adam Thielen jersey. So yeah, 19.
There we go. Hey, and if you guys have not checked out East Coast Gridiron, the Sliders edition, trust me, that is something you want to check out. I mean, me myself, I'm a night owl, and that's why I rock with East Coast Gridiron because he's the same way, and
Yeah.
just man, his game film, watching it late night, it's a blessing.
I didn't, the thing about the watching the film with us, I didn't want it to be like the nerds in the classroom watching it too. So we have like nice little funny banter that goes back and forth. It's really unfiltered. It's one of those like I'm sure Yogi, when you get home, you just crack a beer and just watch us just
Yeah.
fuck around and watch. But yeah, I mean, but we do take it serious too. I mean, I write a ton of notes on everything. That's where I get most of my information on sliders. I even go back and rewatch those games even after the fact too. Because like you said, the slider series, I'll be doing Josh Downs here soon. I just had a couple things come up, but like I need to get back and doing that. And I told people Josh Downs is going to be the next guy. So Josh Downs will be the next one, but I mean, it takes like 15 hours for me from start to finish. That's including watching the film, writing the notes, going back and rewatching it, writing the script, then having to edit. And you know about the graphic side, so it's like then building the graphics around all that stuff and
Right.
editing all that stuff together. It's about a 15-hour process for a video that's usually between 20 to 25 minutes at any given time. But I'm really proud of that series, and if you know I like at the end of the day, a lot of people are like, "I was gonna sub to your channel until you said this," and I'm like, "I didn't even ask for your subscription." So, because I do this, I literally do this because I like doing it. But it is nice knowing I do understand with the I forget where we're at 2,300 subscribers right now that you do have an obligation to keep your audience entertained because I think every subscription, especially for me, every subscription that's come through the channel at one point in time, I know that I didn't ask for it truly, and that person truly felt like that our channel was worthy of them pressing that button. So I don't take that for granted. And man, we're probably like the most active channel that you'll ever see on
Yeah.
YouTube. I try to clip everything from our lives because I know people can't show up to the lives, so I try to clip them and put them out as separate videos. I know some people may be, we may consume their sub boxes, but I do that for a reason because I know some people are there just to hear us talk about the Vikings, for example, or somebody might have subscribed because we talked about the Browns or Oregon State. We might have said something about them, so I understand that too. But I just like the fact that our whole fan base is like it's truly across the spectrum. And from time to time, we have a video that'll blow up. Last time it was the Seattle Seahawks when I did my Drew Lock video, and most recently it was Charlie Jones. So we got a lot of Bengals fans on our channel right now. So, but I'm all about just getting people to understand that it's okay to look outside your team. I'm the biggest Jaguars of Florida State fan there is, but I do like having conversations with people that can put their bias aside and say, you know what, I see what you're saying. The dude's not really all that hyped up, or maybe I'm letting my fan bias allow me to think for my expectation to be a lot higher than another person too. So, but I do like that about our channel. But then I get to meet people like you, and I get to meet people like Rap, and I get to meet a lot of other people that I'm really cool with, and we can have a friendly competition or banter about
Exactly.
Ivan Pace and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
but that's cool because I feel like I'm actually when Rap did that, I felt like I was helping my friend at the end of the day too.
I think
Not
I think last night Rap was talking about if he was on the roster yet, if he won the bet. But I think it was what the 53. He has to make the 53 man roster to
Yes, he
satisfy
can't
the
be on the
bet.
can't be on the practice squad either. It's got to be 53-man roster.
Yeah, big shout. I mean, what really attracted me to your channel is that wide variety of stuff that you talk about. Because yeah, I'm a Vikings fan. I'm a recent LSU fan, but you give the perspective of looking at it from different angles and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
the challenge of not just watching highlight tapes. Because yeah, everybody can have a good highlight reel, but actually watching their whole gameplay throughout the whole game. Well, what did they do on this play? What did they do? Okay, he did good on this play, but on this
Yep.
next play, he wet the bed and wasn't really. He was lost. That's
That's why I
that.
tell people it's cool watching a highlight. It is. It's cool because the highlights are what, Yogi? They're highlights
Exactly.
for a reason.
Welcome, Nikki.
So
Welcome, Nikki.
what's up, Nikki? So when people say, "Oh, I watched his highlights" or "I watched his film," I ask, "What film are you watching?" "Oh, I saw his highlight video," but that's not film. The best thing that I can do, and I know what we watch sometimes, it's not all 22. It's freaking hard to get that for college unless you have a plug. So the best thing that I can resort to as a person that doesn't have that many plugs to that right now is to go back and rewatch the game as best as I can and give that guy a fair evaluation and not a egotistical evaluation like I'd say with Bijan Robinson. People love Bijan Robinson, and I hate the fact that we're throwing this generational tag on this kid right now when he doesn't know how to utilize the left side of the field when he's running. I see it constantly on tape, but people will argue with me, and I'm like, what do you see? Because 70% of the time, the dude is failing jump cutting everywhere, but the other 30% in the game looks amazing. So it's like baseball. You're failing more than you're succeeding, but that shouldn't happen in football because this is not baseball. You're not up there, you know, going at bat for something. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's it's a little different. So that's I mean, it's gotten me in trouble in the past. I mean, to be honest, there's a lot of YouTubers that are not big fans of us because of how boisterous I can be about that. But but I like to challenge people.
Yeah.
I do. I like to challenge their knowledge, and and honestly, it's to me, if I had to have my villain side, I love to see people stumble upon their words and eat their words, especially people that have bigger channels than me that are talking about people or players on their team and have no idea what they're talking about because they heard it on ESPN or they read an article that somebody else has read. When Yogi, we put in the work all the time. So it's a kick in everybody's nuts, especially their fan base that subscribe to him by giving them false information.
Right.
That's just how I feel. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not my business, but it irritates me because I'm like, I hear people say we should have way more subscribers than we do, and our content is really good, and we're all about the truth, and the truth hurts, and all that stuff. But again, I like doing this, and I like challenging people, and maybe I might be a little asshole for that, but either we're gonna become really good friends because of that, or and it's gonna make you better, or either I'm gonna be your worst enemy. So
Hey, and that tests the cloth of some people because I'm the one when I said I was gonna do two teams. You gave me the challenge. Hey, why not do five? Pick a team from each conference. That way, you're watching more football from five different conferences, and you're seeing more players. And I didn't take that as an enemy. I took that as, hey, you know what? That's a good fucking idea.
a lot of people always ask me that, like, there's 132 teams in FBS. We're not even talking about FCS, which is Division Double A. Um, that's the step down from the normal teams that you see. But people always ask me that, like, where do I start? Like, I want to get into college football, and I always love answering that question. That's when I told you, pick a team from each conference, because eventually those and choose the Power Five to start out with. Don't worry about the Group of Five right now. If you're getting into it, the Group of Five, it is what it is. They're not going to be in any championship games. It just is what it is. But choose the Power Five schools: Pac 12, Big 12, Big 10, ACC, SEC. Choose a team from each conference. Eventually, over the next 2 seasons, those teams might play everybody in that conference, and you might get a little taste of what everybody does. And then plus, you don't have to stress yourself out every Saturday on, like, oh, which game should I watch? Because games are going to happen all throughout the day, and fortunately, you're not going to be able to catch every single game unless you're a nut like me that has this game on this monitor, this monitor on my phone. Like, my wife hates it, and then on the tablet, I'm telling her to turn the game on her phone. Like, but that's the best way to get into it. But to me, it's just like when people try to separate NFL and college, and they're like, I'm more of an NFL guy, but then you say you love football. I'm like, you love football, but like some of the best football gets played in college. Like, I don't understand where that mindset comes from. No, you love NFL football. You don't love football in general. I can tell you, we love football. We even covered the XFL at this point. You know what I'm saying? So it's a little different. But I'm glad you took the challenge. I will always tell people that.
I want to say shout out to Anthony Webb for coming over. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I even like semi-pro football, so there's a another aspect of football I love to
Well,
watch.
yeah, you scout people too,
Yeah,
so yeah. I'm sure throughout the season you're going to be like, hey man, I need you to look at this real quick and have you go over my notes on this play. What do you think? I saw there was a Cody Mock question in your chat. What did I think about Cody Mock from North Dakota State? He was at the Senior Bowl, so um, a thing about our channel too is we don't want to be like, we want to be in the media. We don't want to be the media, if that makes sense. Like, when you see all the guys on my channel, we're not a network. We're just a brand. But yeah, we're gonna do more media type things like the Senior Bowl and the East West Shrine Bowl and stuff like that in the future. So we're definitely gonna be there next year. But Cody Mock is one of those dudes that we saw there, and I was like, this dude's a dog. I didn't watch any North Dakota State games last year. I try to catch a couple because they're like the premier team, but Cody Mock is awesome. He can play all over the offensive line if you really need him to. They were doing that in practices while we were down there. So I was really high on him coming out. Then I went back and watched some film on him at North Dakota State. And he was like the best. He was the best part of that team by far. I mean, he just stood out to me. So the Buccaneers, they got a demon. And then the other guy, you already know who I like that's down there, Payne Durham. I don't know if you heard, man. He's making noise down there. He even got Gronk's blessing on 87.
and speaking of NDSU, me and Dante are going to be working on doing an interview with the NDSU transfer to JMU, Phoenix Sproles, wide receiver. So look for that. We're gonna set it up with Phoenix Bros to do an interview with them. Just
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
yeah.
Looking forward to that.
So what questions you guys got for Dante? I mean, he wealth of knowledge right here. Wealth of knowledge right here. So
I'm telling you, I live, breathe, and eat this every single day. I'm always doing something football related, even when I'm not online. My wife kills me. She's like, "What are you doing now?" And I'll be watching film on like some weird dude from, you know, St. Louis Mary University. Like,
where's Hayden at? Let's get some Vikings fans a chance to talk to a Packer fan.
yeah.
Let me see if I can find Hayden. Hold on. Let's see here. Cheese Empire. Cheese.
I don't know much about the XFL except what was Mary's comment. The Seattle Sea Dragons, the DC Defenders. That's all I know. Plus that how I knew Lucky Jackson. Yeah. XFL is very interesting this year. It was. It was very fun. I think they have a lot of potential. The USFL, it's just like watching the NFL. Like it's like a clone of that with worse players. Uh, Most underrated player in the coming college season. Whoo, that's a loaded question. That's a lot of players. Most underrated player. I think this guy's name's been brought up a lot, but I believe he gets overlooked a lot too, and that's Cam Rising from Utah. Not to bring another quarterback guy in it, but if you ever seen Cam Rising play, the dude is tough as nails. He's like he's like Brett Favre to me. Like just having that. I know you guys are Vikings fans, but I know you hate to hear
Hey.
that.
So before I became a Vikings fan, truth be told, I was a Packers fan. But once my brother got drafted to the Vikings, whoop, that went away. But yeah, Brett Favre and Reggie White is the reason why I was a Packers fan. Right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I mean, he plays like Brett Favre, and he's a beast too, man. I'm surprised. I'm gonna be very interested to see what he's gonna be able to do with like half his team going this year. Is he really worth the hype? Uh, Thoughts on Cam Ward? I have not watched a lot of Cam Ward from Washington State. So for me to give an evaluation on that, Holden, I will put that. He's one of the guys I have on my list to go back and watch. But the couple games that I've seen from him, he's still got that archetype quarterback, hybrid quarterback thing that's going on that everybody likes right now. Um, he does have some like a wacky throwing motion, but as far as I don't really want to give a evaluation on him because I don't. I want to give him the full respect of a 4 game evaluation that I like to do. So, but I know about Cam Ward. A lot of people like him. Is Jaden Daniels still starting quarterback at LSU? He is.
Number five. Number five, I believe.
Yep, number 5.
Speaking of LSU, if y'all want, go check out Jackson Howard, my nephew. He will be playing for LSU.
Yes, sir.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I bet as an LSU fan, you can't wait, huh?
Can't wait.
What is the most overrated college team in the coming season? Ooh, most overrated. I think I think this is the year that Ohio State's not going to look like Ohio State because the fact that Ryan Day as a coach has inherited Urban Meyer's recruits for the last couple seasons, and they're all gone now. So this is truly a team that Ryan Day and Brian Hartline have put together on that offense, and their defense is probably the most seasoned on that team. Their offense got depleted this year. So outside of Marvin Harrison Jr., got a new quarterback coming in. I don't know. I don't know. I think they're probably the most overrated. I think I think Michigan. I think Michigan probably runs the Big Ten this year again.
So before I get to Anthony's question, I have a question for you. How do you feel about NIL and the transfer portal? How do you think that's affected college football from the way it used to be and the way it is now?
Um, the NIL has made things interesting. I can tell you that. So there's good and bad to it. To be completely honest, the good is like it gives us something to talk about for sure in the media, but it causes a lot of controversy that I don't think is necessarily warranted just yet. Um, and the reason that I say that is because the play of the the play that the players did last year with the NIL being like 100% in place did not fall off like I thought it would be. It wasn't a problem amongst teammates and things like that like I thought it would be either. But the bad thing, like Jaden Rashada being committed to Florida, who was a 5-star, like outstanding quarterback in high school, and then decommitting from there because he wasn't promised the money that they said he was going to get from whatever uh what do you call those collective groups, and then he ended up committing to Arizona State, which was like really weird. So I don't know, the NIL is weird. The transfer portal, I think it's too early to say, and the reason why I say that is because we haven't had a team that fully has recruited their team out of the transfer portal. But this year we do have that team, and that's Colorado.
Right.
So I would say if Colorado is a 9-win team this year, and they're beating the brakes off of some teams, transfer portal's a problem. They're going to need to regulate it more than it is. But I don't like the fact it puts the teams in a very tough spot. And the reason why I say that is, let's say that me and you, Yogi, we're out there recruiting a player, 100% committed. My dad went to the school. I'm 100% on board. Now me and Yogi have to worry about NIL.
Yep.
We have to worry about what we have actually promised this kid. We could say, yeah, it's going to be a competition between you and the starting quarterback. I'm not going to say we're not fully sold on him, but we want to win games. That's kind of the conversation that we would have. He comes there, gets beat out. You know who's going to be mad? Not the guy that's starting, the guy that we recruited that said it's going to be a competition. Because to him, it wasn't a competition. He automatically went down in the depth chart off
Right.
of things that we promised him, even though we never said that he would be the starter. What kids are doing now is they are saying, I'm just going to enter a transfer portal because I'm mad now, and I want to
Yep.
go prove them wrong. And they usually go to the rival school, and then they become the starter. That's the narrative now. But I don't even think that's the biggest issue. I think the biggest issue is, let's say me and you were playing in high school. You were a star player, I was a star player, but everybody knew me as the man. I was a beast, right? You go to Alabama, I go to LSU. I was promised everything in the book that I'd be a beast. But because LSU is doing better than Alabama right now, it means the competition in that team is better too.
Right.
I get a secondary spot on the roster, but you become a starter. What is Yogi going to do? Because we're young kids and we don't really recognize the depth of that good teams are going to put their good players in backup spots, and then by the time it's ready for them to start, they're going to be beasts, right? That's what good teams do.
Yep.
That's why Alabama's teams never have 2-year starters. They're usually a 1-year starter, and they're in the NFL. As me as a young kid, I'm mad. Yogi calls me, hey man, we really need a quarterback over here. Our quarterback just went down, entered the transfer portal before the date. Got you. That's what's happening. Peer pressure in the transfer portal is the most toxic thing that's going on right now. And that's what I truly believe. Like, I literally had to put myself as a young kid, as an 18-year-old, and be like, if my buddy called me and said, come to this school, and I'm not starting, and I was a better player than him, and he's starting, yeah, something's obviously up. But they don't understand the magnitude of, like, actually being coached anymore. They just want to go and be that guy.
Yeah.
Social media has done a bad thing for that, too.
Roger's got a question. Dante, what do you think of the new kickoff rule?
I don't mind it. As long as they don't make that same thing happen on punts. I mean, it sucks because you're taking away the excitement of a kickoff. And the if I'm at the 5 and a dude's right in front of me, I could just and then be at the 25.
Right.
Which sucks. But it also is a chess match too, and it's the people don't see the positive thing about the kickoff rule, which is we are going to put slower people probably on kickoff teams now, and force these guys to have to meet us at the 15 and be at the 15 when we get down there. So it's going to be a cat and mouse game, and it's going to make the special teams coordinators like work a little bit harder on strategizing. Like we might not be able to put the fastest gunners out there. This might not be the thing,
Right.
but we need somebody that's a sure bet tackler that can play on the team. So it'll be a cat and mouse game, but they're just trying to avoid the big hits. That's what it is because the XFL didn't have a serious injury this year when it came to kickoffs and things like that, but if you guys know the whole story about the XFL thing and them having a partnership with the NFL being the experimental league, that we knew that this was going to happen. I mean, it was too successful, but yeah, I mean, it sucks. I could be at the 1 fair catch at the
Yeah.
25. I just
Now,
gained 24 yards.
keeping it Vikings related, how do you think that plays on a player like Kenye?
Um,
Or in general, just like kick return specialists? How do you does it diminish their value if they don't have other aspects that they excel at?
that is a good question. I haven't thought about it that far yet, Yogi, but I mean, I would say yes and no because again, it's going to be a lot of peer pressure if they don't get the yardage that they're supposed to. Like, that's like me being a kick return. I'm always guaranteed to get us to like the 32. That's what I average. Off a kick return, if it's in the end zone, I can get us at least to the 32. If I start fair catching the ball and getting our team to the 25, somebody's gonna be on my team like you a little bitch now. You don't want to get hit no more. So it's gonna be peer pressure amongst them out of everything. So that's kind of what I think there. And Sarah, we did do your idea the following week after you asked that question. There is a video on that. I'll try to send it to you on Twitter. But we did do that, and that was a very fun idea. So Sarah asked us, if you had to switch teams and divisions to go to another division to make it, more even, what teams would you switch? So that was a fun, and we have like a little visual of everything on how everything matched up. So I'll send it over to you.
I think I did that one day, and I ended up with the Kansas City Chiefs in the same division of the Vikings. And I thought about it, and I was like, I don't like that.
Yeah, we thought about that behind the scenes because I was like, well, this grammatically has to make sense too. So
Yeah.
so we did. Instead of doing like just go anywhere, like New England Patriots going to the NFC West, swapping out with the Arizona Cardinals, that doesn't make sense. So what we did is we just did AFC West and NFC West. They can only swap with each other, and throughout the divisions like that. That way it make like geographical sense. But yeah,
Hey, George Blunt. Yeah, so Dante they did do that video. So be sure to subscribe to East Coast Gridiron, and trust me, you are gonna see a lot of content on a lot of variety of things, and you'll see that one too.
yeah, I'm trying to find it real quick and put the link in the chat for you guys. But yeah, that was a that was a fun video. Or maybe I didn't put that out in video form. I know we talked about it on the live. I'll try to find it for you, Sarah. I know that we talked about it. We did. We talked about it, but I don't know. I'm trying to find it. Yeah, I just didn't clip a video from it. I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll do that probably tonight.
Oh, Sora. Hey, is he on Twitter?
Yeah, yeah,
Boom,
same name.
boom. Papa Sora.
No, I think it's Papa Fuchs on Twitter.
Here.
Yeah, Fuchs,
Boom.
Papa Fuchs. Yep.
Hold on. All right. All right. Check your Twitter, Sora.
Yeah, I do remember doing that. We did that on live. I just didn't do it in
Hey, Eric. What's your question?
a. He wrote that like Yogi. Is that you? What did Nikki say? I got on. What will your predictions on the Vikings players on the offense? And Turn also did it on a rap video. What do you mean like they're projected like yardage and stuff like that? Nikki, for those players. Ooh, that's a really good question. If that's the
Hey, you have a good night, Holden. Thank you for tapping in.
yeah, man. Thank you. What Anthony say? He's not gonna make the roster this year, in your opinion? I know one. I think Andre Carter will make it, but not Ivan Pace.
Hey, so for the people who haven't seen the Ivan Pace video, go ahead and shoot them your thoughts on that Ivan Pace.
Yeah. So if you know me and rap, we've been going back and forth about Ivan Pace for a little bit. But no, I was just my thing was if I'm comparing them to people like Jack Campbell was the one I compared it to because I don't. At the end of the day, yes, it's great to win awards. It's great to lead in statistics, but also this is one thing that like PFF doesn't measure. They give you a score based off of their performance, but they don't necessarily give you a score based off of the level of competition that they played. So it's not swayed one way or the other. They don't care. You could have played a kindergarten team and smashed them, and your score would have been a 98. You know what I'm saying? So that's one flaw with PFF. And me and you use PFF. Like I love it. I mean, people talk crap about PFF, but like people don't have a formula like they do either to calculate their stuff. So unless you do, it's kind of one of those things like can't really talk junk about it. I want to see what you got to bring up. At least they have something. But that's one flaw that I see from them that I don't like. Um, Ivan Pace to me, and I've said this before. I throw lazy in there. I know he's not a lazy player. He's just he doesn't have the burst and the intangibles like other players at his position, like Jack Campbell at Iowa. And you could say whatever you want about Iowa being good and all that, but there's a lot of plays that Jack Campbell makes instinctually without his teammates ever doing anything to help him out. So do you take the really fast guy that can break the edge and barely do anything like Hassan Reddick? Like I'm not a big Hassan Reddick fan. Like I think he's super overrated. And that's what he reminds me of. Or do you go with the blue collar dude, Jack Campbell, that if he gets a hold of you, 98% of the time he's making the tackle, 98% of the time he's reading the defense, 98% of the time he's pursuing the whole time to the ball, sideline to sideline. Those are the things that like I have to consider when I'm watching the film. And I just think him playing at Cincinnati and the level of competition that he played to was just a little worse than what Jack Campbell played. Jack Campbell plays in the Big Ten. I mean, but we'll see. I mean, I think he's just a glorified practice squad player at this point. I mean, there's a reason why he went undrafted, and it's not because of his age. Because a lot of people say, "Well, you like Muhammad Ibrahim." Well, Muhammad Ibrahim played for a long time throughout injuries. He's really old. He's a running back, but 19 100-yard games in a row, putting up 200 plus against the Iowa defense that I was just talking about that Jack Campbell was on. You know what I'm saying? Like he's and coming off an Achilles injury and running for almost 1,600 yards, I believe it was. Yeah, he's a little different, but he got undrafted because of his age.
Hey, shout out to Mary. Hey, Mary, just so you know, on the last show, The preseason game ticket was gifted to you. So if you are on Twitter or wherever, shoot me your email. That way I could shoot you the ticket for the game. Just so you know, the ticket got gifted to you.
Adam Thielen had no competition in college, and see how he ended up in the NFL. And then George said, in my opinion, that is called heart. Well, yeah, it has a lot to do with that too, but that's not for everybody. That's an anomaly. That's a glitch in the matrix that happens. And didn't he play for like a Division II school in Minnesota? Like
Yeah,
he was a walk on with the
Mankato
Vikings.
State, I believe.
Yeah, he was a undrafted undrafted player. That's so few and far between. We can't put that expectation on everybody, but I don't like the fact that Ivan Pace goes in an interview, and I did this in a video about him that I was totally making fun of him, but he said, I don't have no trouble with guards," and it's like I broke down everything on film of you having trouble with guards except for when you were at the Senior Bowl, like that. So that's the difference between him and Adam Thielen. Like Adam Thielen didn't have that attitude, like he didn't have trouble with anything and went and learned as he went, versus Ivan Pace already getting the hype. Thielen never had the hype like that. Ivan Pace has had all the hype in the world, and went undrafted. So that tells you two different tells of the tape there. Yeah. I mean, I'm wearing a Thielen jersey. I'm a Thielen fan. I love a comeback story. The best comeback story of all time to me is still Tyrann Mathieu. In my generation, that I've seen somebody get themselves in trouble, was
Right.
super hyped up out of college, and then, you know, came into the NFL, got a lower draft pick than where he was supposed to go. People were projecting him first overall. People don't remember it. Tyrann Mathieu was a dog.
Yeah.
Like he was so fun to watch. And got himself in trouble with the quarterback that was there at the time. Got caught with marijuana, and people started talking about him bad. And Patrick Peterson saved his life when he had begged the Cardinals for him to get drafted to, or begged the Cardinals for them to draft Tyrann Mathieu. Tyrann Mathieu stayed with him at his house for the first year that he was there, and Tyrann Mathieu turned out to be pretty much everything that everybody thought he was going to be. Maybe his career wasn't as hyped up, but people were talking about Tyrann Mathieu as one of the best safeties for the longest time, outside of when he went to the Saints.
I would have loved to see him and Harrison Smith in that backfield together. Oh my god!
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my god!
Two totally different styles of safeties, but I mean, Harrison Smith is an enforcer for sure, but you're not getting past him on that last leg of the field. That's for sure. Tyrann Mathieu is your Troy Polamalu. You know what I'm saying? It's like having John Lynch and Troy Polamalu on the same team. Not probably not his talent level, but you know what I'm saying. You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying. Just kind of like the play styles. That's what they remind me of.
You think Nikki says she loves Brian Murphy. You think that's a good pickup for the Vikings?
I love that pickup for you guys. Byron Murphy is one of the most underrated cornerbacks in the league. He can play everywhere. I think him and like Patrick Surtain, when he gets a little older, are going to move to safety, and they're going to be like Charles Woodson, just have as good of a career at safety as they did at cornerback. That's if he, you know, that's if that's what he wants to do, which I think that's what Patrick Peterson should probably do at this point too. But he had an incredible season last year, so he's
Yeah.
not slowing down. He had a resurgence.
Under the, hate to say it, and Donatel defense. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a resurgence for him, but as a defense as a whole, oh,
Yep.
oh my god,
Straight up. Straight up. Hey, and that says something about Patrick Peterson right there, to be able to work through adversity of having a really bad defensive coordinator and having one of the best seasons that he's ever had, there as well. Nikki said ball catches, yards, touchdowns. To explain the 245 catches for 2,400 yards, 15 touchdowns. This is what I was saying, Dante, on the prediction for players. I might. Ooh, that's a loaded question. I I'll put it like this. I think Jordan Addison will get close to 1,000 yards this year. I think he'll be around 900 or something like that. I think his season will look a lot like Devontae Smith from the Eagles. And I think JJ is going to take a little bit of a downward slope year, not as far as play. I think people are still going to think that he's talented, but I just don't think he's going to have an 1,800 yard season again, this year. Um, Alexander Madison, I'm still I have to watch more film on him. I really do. I don't want to give my prediction on him. I still think Dalvin Cook should have been your guys running back. I mean, 1,100 yards rushing. What he had like 300 receiving or something like that. Like he's not done yet. He had 8 total touchdowns this year. Yeah, he's not done yet. But like I said in my video, and a lot of people are getting confused. You're saying that he's not a starter? No, I'm not saying that he's not a starter. I'm saying that he has to start accepting in his career that he's going to be a backup probably very soon, quicker than what he expects. Because Florida State, I don't want to say they ran him into the ground, but he was the best thing about Florida State for a while. I mean, he was kicking everybody's ass in college. He was one of the best running backs I've ever seen play.
What's your thoughts on Patrick Queen from the Ravens?
Patrick Queen, oh man, I think Patrick Queen, he's a good player, and I think that on a on a team that's not as young as what the Ravens have had the last couple of seasons. I mean, Calais Campbell wasn't really that young, but I mean, he was kind of the best part of that defense outside of Marlon Humphrey and Jason Peters. Um, I think he was just trying to find his role with the Ravens. And because they were so young, it was hard to pinpoint exactly what he would do. I think Patrick Queen's career would have been better under somebody like Ray Lewis if he was still there, learning from somebody that's been doing it for a while versus Roquan Smith being on that team. Because Roquan Smith is going to eat up everything that is going to be taught to Patrick Queen. So
Hey,
that's
everybody. Hey,
what's up,
welcome just
Justin?
today for Purple
What's
and
up,
Gold for
y'all?
Days.
How
Welcome
y'all
to the
doing?
show, buddy.
Good, man.
What's up, Dante? You trying to say that we should have kept Dalvin Cook and his 14 million? Is that what I heard you just say?
No, I think that you guys did the right thing. If it wasn't for the money, if you took the money out of it, and I know that's not
Oh,
realistic.
sure.
If you took the money out of it, yeah, he should still be there. But yeah, you guys did the right thing
I'll
for
just say
sure.
this: like, it's not about that we don't think he's good anymore. It's just you can clearly see that Kevin O'Connell isn't going to utilize running back bell cows. It's pretty clear. He didn't do it in LA, and he didn't do it last year very well. Now, I think Kay Adams had a video out there the other day on Twitter about a couple of plays where he got the ball and he had 3 guys on him. Well, what's Dalvin Cook supposed to do? I'm like, okay, that's true. You
Hmm.
cherry picked out a couple of plays where not even Barry Sanders would have been able to do anything with it. But you also left out some other plays where he had great run blocking and he didn't take full advantage of the run blocking that he was given. There were
That's
a
true.
lot of times last year where it's just like 2 years ago, Dalvin Cook would have had a 20-yard gain on that play and he got 3. Or, it was 3rd and 1 and Dalvin Cook could have gotten this if he had just done that. So for me, and my video on my last goodbye to Dalvin and hello to Alexander Madison will drop tomorrow morning. But it was definitely the right move to do. And I know that people have a tendency to hold on to their favorite players, and we're not used to this because Rick Spielman and Mike Zimmer, if they liked you, they held on to you regardless. Anthony Barr, Eric Hendricks, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook. If Rick Spielman was still here, all 4 of them guys would still be here. Maybe not Anthony Barr. I'll take him out. But the guys we
Yeah.
let go this year, Kendricks, Thielen, Cook, Rick Spielman we could have found a way right now to keep those guys if we wanted to. But at some point, you got to move on. And at some point, you got to realize, what, we can't play for one season. We got to play for 2, 3 seasons
I'll
if
tell
we
you
want to win a Super Bowl.
what the saving grace of this whole thing was from you guys and what Quasey was trying to accomplish here is saying that Dalvin Cook isn't as valuable to a lot of other teams,
Hmm.
so it's okay to let him walk. And nothing was as more true as them saying we're going to release you unless there's some emergency trade that would happen for you, and
Right.
teams weren't willing to trade for him. So I mean that's saying two things: contract, but also the dude's not worth the contract that he's getting to come on another team. Nobody's going to want to eat all of that right now. So
Hmm.
the best thing to do
Right.
is just let him go and figure out his own path. And I really think for Dalvin right now, that was kind of the best thing for him because I think him going to any 30 teams out of the NFL do not need him outside of two that could use his services and get the best out of him, which would be Miami because he's from that area, his
Yep.
family's there. He was Mr. Florida in high school, that's where he wants to be. And the other team is Buffalo. Regardless of how much people want to talk about it, his brother and him are super close. What is the better mentor to be up there with him, knowing that he would let his brother shine and not try to compete with him if he's the best guy
Right.
and teach him everything he needs to know? Is Dalvin being in Buffalo? I don't really see any other team really trying to utilize his services. And I think that he would honestly take less money to be signed on one of those teams because of that atmosphere too. It's a lot
Hmm.
easier to take a little bit less money when the when the atmosphere is a lot more favorable for
Right.
you.
Where you got other motivating factors. The only other team that I threw out was Denver. What do you think of Denver?
Ooh, Denver's interesting.
Him and Russell Wilson together with Sean Payton playing and with him playing the Alvin Kamara role. What do you think of that? That's my dark
Mm,
horse team for him to go to. I know that Miami and Buffalo are the obvious, and for the reasons you just laid out, but I wouldn't be shocked if he ended up in Denver. One, because the Vikings played Denver, so he'd get an opportunity to play him this year. And I know that that's not like the end all be all, but it's also not something, we've seen it around here a couple times, taking some former Green Bay players just to play them. But I don't know. Just
yeah,
you think on that for a minute, and let me know if you think I'm onto something or on something, because I think Denver is a dark horse.
I think I think everybody knows Javante Williams is their guy. Uh, he's going to be their guy for a long time as long as he's healthy. And they brought in Samaj P. Round, which I think he understands his position all the way around. That he's just going to be a backup in this league.
Right.
But if you are trying to replicate something in Sean Payton's offense, you might be onto something, Justin. Now that I think about it more, because Dalvin Cook could be that Alvin Kamara type in that offense, and we've seen what Alvin Kamara did under Sean Payton. So he would really know how to utilize them. I guess it just depends on, first of all, money. Uh, what's it? Does Dalvin want to play with Russell Wilson? Because a lot of people don't get along with Russ.
Well, that's true. Mr. Unlimited. Mr. Unlimited.
Yeah, yeah. So a lot of people don't get along with Russ, but Dalvin is a really good locker room guy too.
Yeah. I think that's where he's going to be missed the most, in all honesty, is he was one of the team leaders, one of the ambassadors of the team, that sort of thing. So, Yogi, what bottle are you up to now? I got to ask now. We got we got to get a count here, Yogi. What's up?
4.
That's number 4? All right.
Yep, and I got no. 55, and here's
Okay.
the 6.
He's gonna go through the whole 6-pack. So, hey, I like your line earlier about you and your brother Willie with the Schwarzenegger DeVito line. That was pretty funny, dog. That was funny.
We actually recreated that picture of like him just standing there with me
And you leaning on him.
Yeah. We don't get it because like my dad is short and like me, and he's just like tall and like athlete, and I'm just short, fat, and just round. He says round is the shape. I'm like, yep, I'm in shape. Round.
Yeah, exactly. I'm working on my 6-pack. They all go together. So anyway.
Oh yeah.
George said, "What is the biggest need for the Vikings at this point?"
D-line interior. I mean, what's that dude from Green Bay we just signed? What's his name? The guy from the Packers we just picked up. Lowry.
Yeah, Dean Lowry.
Okay, Dean Lowry and Harrison Phillips remind me a lot of each other. They're nice complementary guys, but they're not game wreckers. To me, their defensive line, particularly on the interior, particularly in regardless of whether we keep Daniil Hunter or not, which is a whole nother conversation. But to me, interior defensive line, I mean, that still scares me that teams could just run all day on us. I mean, we got to face Philly, we got to face San Francisco. Now, obviously, Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. I mean, those real good teams with even halfway decent offensive lines and halfway decent run games will be able to control the ball against our defense right now. We can talk about Brian Flores all we want. You don't have. You guys were talking about Pat and Kevin Williams earlier. I can't remember if it was on here or was it earlier with Rap, but we need some big dudes in the middle, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's your biggest need, for sure. Yeah, because with Brian Flores, your secondary is going to be real tight knit this year. He's going to button that up, but yeah, that defensive line is going to have some trouble. But if you really think about it, you can even say this for the Eagles last year too, and we know that they had the best front seven, in the league, as far as how they produced. But even they had trouble at defensive tackle. I think defensive tackle is one of those positions where everybody's trying to figure out who that next guy is. Like who's going to be the staple guy. Like defensive tackle to me is the new running back. They don't last that long, and if you find a good one, you hold on to them for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of teams are like that. Because damn, how many defensive tackles do the Eagles have right now?
8.
Yeah, they have like 16 on their team, and then they signed. Remember when they signed Ndamukong Suh and
Linval Joseph
and Linval Joseph? Like I'm like, don't y'all already got like Milton Williams and Jordan Davis and Fletcher Cox on that team already? You guys need more. So yeah,
it's amazing what you can do with a quarterback on a rookie contract. It's amazing what you can do. And not signing a running back to a second contract and not signing 2 linebackers to second contracts. It's amazing what other things you can do with your roster when you don't have those 4 guys. But
yeah.
Do you guys think that teams should just start getting in that trend of just drafting a running back every other year? That way you don't have to sign that running back to a big time contract.
you do that with a lot of positions. I mean, you should do that with quarterback. You should do that with running back. And to Dante's point, defensive tackle. I mean, the premium positions in the NFL are quarterback, but at the same time, they also price themselves. I mean, middle of the road quarterbacks are going for $40 million a year. Okay, that's the thing, and it's not just Kirk Cousins, ladies and gentlemen. Let me be clear. When Matt Ryan went to a Super Bowl and then he got paid, Joe Flacco went to a Super Bowl and won, and then he got paid. And what did the Ravens do post that until they got Lamar? Nothing, because they had a good, not great quarterback making 35, 40 million roughly when adjusted for inflation. If you don't have one of those elite quarterbacks, you have 2 choices. We have 3 choices. You have a good, not great quarterback making 40 million. You have a bad quarterback, or you have a quarterback on a rookie contract that you hope can get. It's called, positional value, or up until now, Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow, they are giving you elite quarterback production, but they're not getting elite money. Now everybody's gonna say, well, we'll see what happens in Philly now that Jalen Hurts is making his money. Yeah, but the team around him's already been built. Same thing with Cincinnati. The alternative, the problem you run into is when you have a Kirk Cousins, a Dak Prescott, a Jared Goff. You can do a lot worse than those guys, obviously. Nobody's saying they're bad, but in relation to how much they take, and that doesn't mean I'm saying they're overpaid. I'm just saying from a roster construction standpoint, you got guys that, yeah, they're better than Andy Dalton and Teddy Bridgewater and Marcus Mariota. But what does it get you? It gets you wild card division around the playoffs. It doesn't get you a Super Bowl. So, no, you should do quarterbacks. You should do running backs. You should do offensive linemen, defensive linemen. Yeah, the only positions that you hang on to are wide receiver, cornerbacks, tackles. Everybody else, you just rotate through them and let the chips fall where they may. Because otherwise, It's not that you can't keep guys like that, but if you do that, you put yourself into a 3-year window, and then after that, you're going to have to recycle a lot. Whereas if you're recycling on a yearly basis, you might not have to recycle in a big time way like the Vikings are right now.
Yep.
So
I honestly think that the draft itself should be more regulated, and the way that we trade players should be more regulated, and how interesting that would be. And I think that that would change a lot. So I was talking to my dad about this like a couple of weeks ago, because I'm like, "Dad, all these big trades that happen, and so many players are going to one team and they never get utilized, and then eventually get released at the end of the season. It's like it's like playing around with their livelihood and them not being able to prove anything. And I know it doesn't matter at the end of the day; it's a business. You got to do what you got to do. But what would be so interesting, like having, if you're looking at like making this like a chess match for real every single year, and for people to feel like that their team is like always doing something. So like for trades, for example, I was telling him, I said, if you guys were to trade Kirk Cousins for Trey Lance, right? That's cool. It's an even trade. It's a quarterback for a quarterback. Now, if you, well, I'm just saying, like as positional wise,
Matt
Okay.
Corral.
yeah, you're trading a quarterback for a quarterback, regardless of how you value them. Um, but if there was like, for the Jaguars, for example, if we trade Trevor Lawrence for a star linebacker somewhere, then you have to trade one of your quarterbacks on your roster, and we have to trade one of our linebackers on our roster and actually swap them to each team. And I was like, that would be very interesting. I'm not sure how much that would work, but it would make it super interesting, where it would make it more, not only you filling the roster spot for everything, but you're kind of getting value in different places. Like, how much are you willing to risk to make that one position really good? And I think we should take away trading draft picks in general. And this is where I had a lot of thoughts. And my thought process around that is the first round of the draft is a wild card. You get lined up exactly how you finished. So if you don't play well, you had that 32nd pick in the draft. You got it, or you get that first pick in the draft if you lose. This way, it'll set up where in the first round of the draft every single year, it's a wild card. You get to choose whoever you want to choose. The rest of the draft is by position. Quarterbacks in this round, 1 through 32. Running backs in this round. So everybody's rosters are even. There's not these crazy trades. And if you don't get who you get, it is what it is. But this will keep from us having like these super teams all the time too, where people are just like the Rams, for example, traded for Matt Stafford, and that's all they needed was just one good quarterback, and they won a Super Bowl. But then they suck too, because they had no draft picks. Now they have nobody to replace. They have all rookies that are playing under veterans that are getting hurt every single year too. So I thought we were just talking about how could we improve it. I know that's like very far fetched, but
I don't know, because to me, you're punishing good teams and you're rewarding bad teams. It's like, I don't know, because there's not 32 quarterbacks every year that could be drafted or that are worthy of being drafted, as an example. At the same time, it's funny. You think back to the 80s and the Celtics and the Lakers and how dominant they were. That's because Red Auerbach was a genius, because other GMs did stupid things. And why would you punish good GMs and good teams? Because at the end of the day, one thing I've always said about Kirk Cousins or other middle tier quarterbacks that are making 40 million on average, they're making that money because somebody is saying, yes, I'm going to pay you that, So I don't know that I'm down for a system that protects owners and GMs from themselves, so to speak. But it's an interesting thought process. I get what you're saying of maybe there needs to be some sort of regulation as to saying, okay, these are the kind of trades that are going to be allowed or fit within a certain budgeting system. But I don't know. I had to think on that for a minute, where every round is just a specific position. That's interesting. I'd have to think on it for a minute, though. George has had that question up for a minute. Who's out there for the Vikings to pick up? On the D line, nobody. On the offensive line, I like Dalton Reisner, but it came out that the Vikings have not shown any interest in him whatsoever. So That's the key. We now know what kind of needs we have, but there's really nothing out there that I see. It's not like there's somebody just sitting there waiting, and like that's the prize free agent sitting out there waiting from June 1st. So I don't even know who they. If they could sign somebody tomorrow, and I'd be like, okay, I don't know what this person does, but we'll see.
Yeah. I don't even know who's out there and that's available now. Let me see.
Right.
Available NFL free
Miles
agents.
Jack.
Oh, let's not talk about Miles Jack. Just come back. Just come back to Jacksonville, please. Hey, Yogi, I was hurt. I was hurt when we let him go last year. And my wife's a Steelers fan. I said he is a Steeler through and through, so I can't be that mad. And then they let him go after. So I'm like, I don't know.
I think he would be an upgrade from Hicks. That's just me. I think he truly would be an upgrade from Hicks. I think Patrick Queen would be a
we've talked about him a few times. Yep. I guess the question on the table is really we want to know what Kwesi's mindset is. Is his mindset, I'm just going to do what's necessary to field the team in 2023 as I continue my quote unquote competitive rebuild, or am I going to try to improve anywhere and everywhere I can? Because it's starting to look to me that it's not like he's tanking this season. It's not like he's punting on this season, but I think he is doing something that for the long term might be the smart move, which is to say, for the last 5 years, this Minnesota Vikings team has every offseason pushed all of their chips in. They pushed all their chips in when they signed Kirk Cousins. In 2019, they re-signed Anthony Barr. In 2020, when they had an opportunity to trade Cousins, they didn't do it. They didn't say, no, we're going to take our steps back. Well, then they didn't have any moves to be made other than trade for Yannick Ngakoue. And look at how the hell that turned out, okay? Last year, they had opportunity to do what they're doing now, and they went with the route of, let's see what you can do with what we have. And so I think he might be saying at this point, yeah, I could sign a guy, but I'm just going to hold tight for right now. I don't know. That's just kind of what I'm starting to sense, because they offered Danielle Hunter more money to satisfy him for this year to say, no, we know you're not going to play on $5 million. There was a report by Darren Doogie Wolfson, who's pretty plugged in the media here in this town, that the Vikings offered Danielle, hey, we'll bump up your pay this season, but we're not going to offer you an extension for anything beyond your current season. And that was kind of telling to me, if that's true. Now, granted, we don't know the information that was floated to him, whether it was true or not. It could just be leverage play, as always happens. But when you hear something like that they want Danielle Hunter for this year, but they don't want him from beyond this year, just like they offered Cousins a 1-year extension, but not a 3-year extension, that tells me that they're kind of saying, you know what? We're not going to push all of our chips in. We're going to sit a couple of hands out. So I don't know. I mean, what do you think, Yogi? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
If you're at the point where you're going to offer more money for just this year, but not look at him for the future, you should trade him.
I agree.
I
agree.
I mean, if you're not looking at him as a piece of your team of the future, why pay him more this year to play and not get capital to not play him next year and not get no capital?
I totally agree. To me, my stance on Danielle Hunter is I like him. I would love to see him play with Brian Flores as the offensive coordinator versus Ed Donatell. But if you're making the choice that because of his age that you don't want him as part of your team beyond this season, that you only want to keep him around so that you can somewhat be competitive this year, but he's not, you're better off trading him. Get a first-round pick so that you've got more ammunition to get a quarterback next year.
See,
wait, y'all didn't like Yannick Ngakoue?
I would take him back in a
No.
Bro, I love Yannick Ngakoue. I think he's the most underrated edge rusher in the league, bro. The dude had 5 sacks and 2 forced fumbles in like 6 games with you guys.
That's all he's a one-trick pony. He is a one-trick pony.
I was posting back in March that we should bring him back.
No.
Bro, I love Yannick Ngakoue, man.
The reports
He's
are
a
that
beast.
you remember the Titans? Y'all remember that, right?
The
You remember
movie?
when the movie. Yeah.
Strong
You remember
side.
when yeah, exactly. You remember before they came together where Bertier goes to Julius and he says, "You're playing selfish ball. You're playing just for yourself. You're not playing as a team player." And Julius says, "Why should I wear myself out for you? This isn't a team. What team are you talking about? So until there's a team mentality, I'm going to look out for myself and I'm going to get mine." And that's what people were saying about Yannick Ngakoue for the 4.5 weeks he was here, was that he was just playing for himself. He wasn't playing the run
Yeah.
at all. He wasn't doing anything to be in a team structure. So, I mean, I get it. You saw him when he was there year in and year out, Dante. So I get your perspective, but I'm just saying for the 4 weeks he was here, he was not trying to be part of no team. I'm just saying.
He was the same way everywhere he went after he got through with us. And
Mm-hmm.
the I understand his frustration too, because this is what people don't know about Yannick Ngakoue. Yannick Ngakoue was not really close with Tom Coughlin when he came in, and Tom Coughlin was a big issue with the Jaguars. Like, he was trying to change the whole culture. Jalen Ramsey and him bumped heads a bunch of times. He's like, bro, what? You tell me I got to change my socks to this. What's that got to do with you're doing all this old school stuff, and it's like we came into the mentality that we're just going to be ourselves, and that's what got us to the AFC Championship game. Then he came in and got rid of everybody that disagree with him. And Yannick
Mm-hmm.
Ngakoue was one of those guys that's like, if you get rid of us, I'm I'm not gonna want to be here. And then that's when him and the owner's son started going at each other, and he was throwing out all his business and all that. And that's where a lot of people say like the downfall of Yannick Ngakwe's attitude started happening, because he
Mm-hmm.
hasn't met success anywhere else that he's been. Not with you guys, not with the Colts, not with Baltimore. It's just been mediocre year after mediocre year, and he's like, we had a Super Bowl caliber type of team outside of Blake Bortles, but when we had Allen Hurns and Allen Robinson there, two 1,000-yard receivers, and it looked very bright for us. I mean, they called us Saxonville. Y'all remember how dominant our defense
Yeah.
was?
Yeah.
And then you get rid of everybody, Calais Campbell, all the people are just gone. So I get that, but like, yeah, you got to let go of that grudge at this point in time, man. Like,
Yeah.
you got to play for the team that you're on, and he constantly produces. I mean, he averages like 9 sacks a year or something like that. So I mean, and he's still doing that. So it's like, just curb your attitude, man, because that's the reason why he's not on the team right now. That bad juju is already going around the league. I mean, if you have a bad attitude with the Ravens and the well, he wasn't on the Steelers, but I always put the Ravens and the Steelers organization are like tier A1
Yep.
organizations.
Yep.
And if you can't buy in, it's going to be very hard for you, because we're going to blacklist you from every other team in the league. And ever since then, when he got traded to them halfway through the season with you guys, and then went to the Colts, and then that was he hadn't been no more good. He can't
No.
find a job anywhere. Nobody wants him. So I get where you're coming from. Like, but yeah, it's just, to me, when I look at the numbers, like, he's a beast, but you can't bring a locker room cancer in too. That's just like, I'm
Right.
here for myself.
See me, I would like, unlike Justin, I don't think Daniil's gonna fetch a first. I'm more realistic to where I thought Patrick McQueen, Patrick Macari, the offensive lineman from the Ravens, and 2 fourths for Daniil Hunter. Is that something you guys would do?
I consider it if you can't get a first. I'd say, like, for me, that if you can't get a first, then sign him to a 2-year deal. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying if you can't get the draft capital, then keep him.
Mm-hmm.
But the worst thing you can do is just play him for 1 year and let him walk, even if you give him more money to make him happy this year. The worst thing you can do after that is, trade him for a 3rd-round pick and sell him for pennies on the dollar. So I'm with you that I don't know that you could get a first. I'm saying that that's where I'm saying that if you can't get a first, then keep him. Now, to your trade scenario of Patrick Queen and the tackle and a couple of fourths, I could listen to it. See, for me, if I'm going to trade Danielle Hunter, I want to do it in the context of getting enough high-end draft capital to be able to make that quarterback move next season. And 2 fourth-round picks, even with the other players, doesn't really move that needle. But if that was the only offer on the table and you aren't going to extend him, yeah, sure. I could listen to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, with that question, have the 2024 quarterback, what quarterbacks are you interested in? Because the top 2 right now on the polls are Drake, Checkdown May, and Caleb Williams. Which
I can't stand Drake, man.
Yeah. So I'm
you
on
hate
the,
Drake. Do you hate Drake way more than you hate Will Levis? That's the real question. Which one's worse? Because we know you hate Will Levis.
Yeah, I think Will Levis was overhyped, and his attitude had everything to do with it too. Like his arm talent. If you couldn't see his arm talent, that's one thing. I don't know what to tell you. But his attitude and the way that he approached the game is what's going to make him a terrible pro and a terrible player. And his decision making, you can't switch their brain out, for anything else. Drake May on the other end, I think I don't hate him more than I hate Will Levis. I hate the system that he plays in, that Mac Brown bubble screen every damn play. Let your receivers do most of the work, but have 400 yards a game because your receivers all had 100 yards apiece in the game, and Drake May's the one that's the hero, and they keep screaming Heisman. I don't like that. I think I don't like the system he's in, and as much hype as he's getting more than anything else.
To answer Nikki's question, Yogi, I have a question for all 3 of you. Who do you think will take over number 4 jersey of the Vikings player because Dalvin Cook is gone? I hope that they save that number for our quarterback of the future. Honestly. Because with the number change rules and like players, DBs and stuff like that getting single digit numbers, pretty soon we won't have a number for a quarterback next year. So I hope they just save it for whoever we do draft.
Yeah, he only wore it for 1 year too. So
right.
That was his number in college, but it's nothing too memorable. You guys are going to remember from wearing 33, not 4.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, I agree with you. The single digit, the whole number change, man. I guess I'm like old school, like you, Yogi. Like I couldn't stand it. When I seen homie on the Giants wear number 8 on the defensive line, I was like, or not number 8, not number 8. It was like number 6 or something. I was like, what? Who's this big dude wearing number 6? What's going on? Yeah, it's crazy.
I have no idea who. I have no idea who will be the next number 4. Probably. I have no idea. I'm just not even going to cap.
We don't. A lot of people always ask us to talk about, like, what do you think about the number thing? Not the fact that this is not a good question, Nikki, but
I'd be making it up if I gave you an answer right now, Nikki.
Yeah. We just make it up. It's speculative. Like I'm not in that person's brain, so it's hard to figure out what number they're gonna want. The only thing that I can base stuff off of is what they were in high school, where they were in college, and did they wear a different number in the NFL on another team that they may want again. Those are the only 3 things.
Justin, I think you cut out, but I would say we should just save it for our quarterback of the future.
Yeah, no, I heard you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And as far as the question, I think it was Dylan a minute ago. I'm not going to cap. I don't know enough about these quarterbacks coming out. I knew enough about C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson, but I really don't know much more than the Caleb Williams. So again, I'd be capping and just making crap up if I said, "Oh no, I think they should target this guy." I'm going to be pulling for Anthony Richardson just because that dream, it was an unrealistic one, but I would have done it. And I'm going to stick to that until shown otherwise. That dude is just a freak, and I would have loved to have seen him on this team. But
Hey, Yogi, did you see who my runner up was for Heisman?
No.
All right, so I had Bo Nix winning, but I think the most NFL ready quarterback that's going to come out in the draft next year, that's going to do well in the NFL, that's number 18 in touchdowns in college football. Out of all the players that have ever played, he's number 18 right now. Sam Hartman, they used to play at Wake Forest, that's in Notre Dame right now.
Yep.
That he just screams Vikings for me right now. Like I think everybody get your notepads and write it down. Sam
breaking
Hartman, I
news on
guarantee.
Purple Rain. Breaking news. Dante's calling the shot.
Yep. I'm calling my shot right now. That's my guy, man. I loved him ever since Wake Forest. There, if he was good at Wake Forest with nobody there other than A.T. Perry, who was okay in the end zone for him, what do you think he's going to do at Notre Dame with better weapons, better offensive schemes, going to play better competition? Yeah, that's my guy. And I love when kids from warm weather schools go to cold weather schools. I love it.
What? Oh my God! Reckless speculations.
Yep.
Yogi, what you up to now? You're at 74 when I came in. What you up to now?
Let me go check. Ooh.
You still at 74, Yogi?
74.
All right. Well, that ain't bad because you were at like 66 earlier today. So
yeah, 63.
You rocking them numbers. So if y'all, everybody probably know this, but when he get to 100, we're gonna give away that plaque. You got the plaque?
Whoop.
Right there. Get him to 100. So if you ain't subbed up to Yogi, sub him up. If you ain't subbed up to Dante, why not? If you want some real speculation on college, he knows far more than the rest of us do combined. And oh, by the way, shameless plug, but if you're watching on Yogi's channel and you ain't subscribed to Purple and Gold for Days, hit me up. My my goodbye to Delvin. Hello to Alexander Madison will drop tomorrow morning. I'll also be dropping a video just simply saying that I've joined Vikings First and Skull, so sub up to those guys as well. But hit them like buttons on the way in. Yeah, I'm just going to be porting over my episodes to their podcast feed because I don't have the time to set up my own podcast feed. And Dave was like, hey, you guys, you want to just come over here? I was like, yeah, sure, let's do this. And so I'll do some collabs with them once in a while. I'll do some specific podcast only stuff. So there'll be stuff that doesn't go on the YouTube page over there. So that's Vikings First and Skull, both on YouTube as well as your podcast aggregator. So with that being said, anything else from I'm gonna dip out of here. I can't stay out too much longer. But you got anything else on the way out?
Hold the fort for 1 second while I be right back.
All right, we'll hold the fort. We'll hold the fort for you.
I'm just reading the comments.
No, but Dante, you bring up a good point about the Jaguars. 2017, the Vikings and the Jaguars were in the same spot, the title game, and they both said we got good defenses. We just need a quarterback. And you know what? I'll say this though. After signing Nick Foles, you guys realized this wasn't the answer, and you guys did the transition that you needed to do, and that's why you have Trevor Lawrence. For everybody that is kind of, I don't know if I like this transition, this competitive rebuild stuff and getting rid of old players. That's how you put yourself in position to get a quarterback like that. That's how you not just stay mediocre all the time. The Jaguars were bad, but guess what? They're on the rebound.
Yeah, I think, and I'm not the biggest Trevor Lawrence fan. He's got one more year to really prove it all to me.
We'll trade you Kirk for Trevor straight up if you don't like him.
I'll take that in a hot minute.
All right, we get on the phone with them because I'll take Trevor Lawrence, dude. But anyway, go ahead.
I think we should have did what we did last year, a year earlier, because we had more money, we had just a lot more everything, and we had Trevor Lawrence then, and Urban Meyer was too scared to go and tell the GM, go ahead and splurge in free agency and get as many draft picks as you can, and let's draft this team up. And I think that's ultimately why he failed with him and Trent Baalke. But then Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson got together, already having a relationship from the Eagles days, and then bam, look what they did. They went out and damn near scooped up everybody that they could, and we had a 9-win team from being what, a 2 or 3 win team the previous year, having the
Right.
first overall pick. So, I mean, I like it. I like the fact that we did all of that. I just think, as a fan, what's frustrating for me is that everybody's putting so much. Now, I don't want to say pressure, but because that's up to Trevor on what he wants to do and on how he's going to perform. But we're already like almost capping this kid as like the golden boy, like the future of everything else. When you have Justin Herbert that has broken almost damn near every single record for the first 3 years for a quarterback in NFL history, and he's not getting the praise that Trevor Lawrence is getting. Um, and I also think some of the praise needs to be spread out for how everybody did. The
Hmm.
front office, Doug Peterson, Travis Etienne, for the times that he's come into games and performed and actually came in and won the games and took the pressure off of Trevor. Like, I think that's what Jacksonville has a big problem with in the media with Jacksonville in particular is we hone in on that one player so much that it overshadows everything that we accomplished as a group, and I think that's super duper duper toxic to a team. So, and that's ultimately why I believe outside of Tom Coughlin, that's what happened to the 2017 team.
Hmm.
All the Everything was honed in on Tom Coughlin being back. Look how he's changing the team, and it pissed everybody else off because he started making decisions inside not only the locker room, but he wouldn't allow Doug Marone to be Doug Marone as our head coach when he was actually a good head coach for a team. You don't
Hmm.
get to the AFC Championship just by your talent alone. He knew how to wrangle those guys too. So, but I you know, that's what I think about just the Jaguars and the whole. And I'm trying not to get myself too excited because when I really went back and evaluated, and I watched every single one of Trevor Lawrence's games a couple weeks ago, and made extensive notes on everything. He had 8 great games out of 17, and we are already hyping this kid up like he's top 10. That's not top 10 when you're failing most of the season. It's a 17 game season, and you had 8 good games. Let's pipe down here. And you threw 4 interceptions, almost five,
Almost
eh,
five. Right.
almost five. And when Doug Peterson started getting Travis Etienne more involved in the game, guess what happened? We won, and he had that fourth down conversion that got us to the next round. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I think. It's frustrating to see us like just so hyped up. I had to argue with somebody on Twitter about that the other day. They're like, "You just hate Trevor. You're not a real fan. Why don't you find a new fan base?" I'm like, "Cause you're mad that I'm critical of my team, so I can't."
Right.
That makes me not a fan. That makes me even more a fan because I want us to succeed and see the holes that we have. But I guess
Hey, Nikki, thank you for coming to the first ever show. You have a good night, and we'll be back next
thanks, Nikki.
Saturday.
Great questions
Thanks,
tonight.
Nikki.
Hey, I threw up Purple and Gold Days for link for YouTube channel. Be sure to sign up. Sign up. Sign up.
I couldn't believe, Justin. I didn't. I know I started commenting on a couple of your videos. I thought I had you subscribed, so that's why I started commenting more on there. I'm like, I could have swore I subscribed to Justin, and then I'd never seen your videos pop up. You're like, I just posted a new video. I'm like, it never pops up in my feed. Then I went to your channel and then I subscribed and I started seeing your stuff. I was like, well, I'm thinking this whole like last couple of months I had you subbed up and I just never seen your stuff pop up, bro.
It's all
So
good. It's all good. It's all good.
Just to
Well, I
recap,
appreciate you though.
when I get to 100 subscribes, hey, that's the sixth beer kicking in. Y'all leave me alone. We'll be jumping on purple and gold for days. We'll be giving out this bad boy
Ooh.
right here, Justin Jefferson plat. It's got a couple rookie cards on it. But yeah,
where'd you get that from, Yogi?
there's a little shop at the mall by my house, and they got like a whole bunch of different Vikings memorabilia and stuff
Oh,
like that.
nice.
That's where I got the little helmet with the uh, armed service style
Mm-hmm.
helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If somebody can find me, I know this is kind of like I want to say a shameless plug, but if anybody knows if there's an auction, I've been trying to find this for the longest time. The Navy helmets Navy wore the helmets where they had like a gold stripe that went towards the back, and it was white on the front and blue on the bottom, and they had like the anchors on the side on one side, and then they had the ship that they were assigned to on the other side.
Oh, nice.
If somebody can find one of those, I will spend a pretty penny just to have it in my collection.
Speaking of spending money, I'm still trying to get with you and get on that Ivan Pace bet that you got with Rap, because I'll take that bet too.
What was
Rap
the bet
was
again?
$100 that Ivan Pace doesn't make the team that he doesn't make the final 53-man roster. I said I'll take that. I'll take it
All right,
because
well,
I think he's gonna make the team. But
Hey Dante, Anthony said Pristine Auctions. Maybe
Okay.
something to check out.
that might be it.
pristine auctions. Yeah. Well, those armed forces helmets are nasty. Air Force, Army, Navy. Yeah, but those Navy ones were dope because of the just the symbolism around.
Yeah.
The guy airbrushed the actual and that's why I probably should have died why I can't find it because they were very specific to that person. But you know how people sell their memorabilia and stuff like all
Mhm.
the time. So if I could find one of those helmets, it would just be dope to be like they only wore this one time, and the player that helmet this is the ship he got assigned to. Like it'd
That's
just be a cool
incredible.
story to have.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna tap out here because I got to get out of here, boys. Thanks for letting me sit in with you. It's a pleasure as
Hey,
always.
thank
Get
you,
Yogi
thank
to
you.
100 so we can give away that plaque. And I'm ineligible for it. I'm almost kind of sad that I can't win. But in all seriousnness, y'all have a great evening.
All right, you
Vikings
too,
fans,
man.
thanks for
All right.
tapping in. Have a good night.
All right, see you, Justin.
Yeah. Hey Sarah, yeah, it's still alive, but barely.
Maplewood Mall. That's what they call it.
Well, yeah, that's what it's called.
Wow, that could be more of like a, the northeast of the north next to Canada type mall name I've ever heard of.
Well, the city's Maplewood. That's where I live.
Oh, you do? Okay. So how's this thing working for the game with you guys? So you go into a preseason game and week one?
Yeah. So right now, what I did is grabbed my ticket and 7 extra preseason tickets, and we're giving out a ticket each week for that. Then me and Rap just decided to go and have on another ticket, and what we're gonna do, I'll probably hit you up on how you do your wheel thing, where it takes one person off.
Yeah.
So what it will do is, anytime we go live or whatever like that, it'll get someone an entry, like the first person tonight. And when we decide, we'll do that will thing, and that'll be the winner to go to the Bucks game.
That's dope. We're gonna have to me, you and Rapper probably gonna have to meet up towards like the end of the season or something and get to a Vikings game. I'm trying to go to as many games as possible. Like I had the Florida State game on the schedule, and then something came up with me and my wife, so we couldn't make it. The same, this anytime Florida State plays LSU, it's cursed now because we were gonna do it last year, and then something happened with like me at work, and something happened with her at work, and we were super stressed out, and then we were planning to go to New Orleans to go see that game. Like that was what we were doing. And then I was like, I felt bad because of everything that was happening with her. So then I changed our plans to go to Disney instead for 4 days. So I was like, as a football fan, I'm sitting there trying not to watch football. It's the first day of college football season. And I'm like, I could be here, but I'm here in the teacups.
Fuck you, Mickey.
Yeah. Fucking in the teacups now. What the fuck is going on? But yeah, it was actually her idea too. She was like, "Let's go to this. That would be really cool." She'd never been to New Orleans before. I've been before, so it was like, let's do it. And then this year we talked about it, the same thing, and then something else came up. I was like, "Oh my god, just Florida State playing LSU is fucking cursed. We're not going to none of this shit ever again."
Yeah, when I saw it, just happened to work out perfect because it's that holiday weekend. I was like,
"Did you catch tickets before they blew up? Because I saw them the other day."
"Yo, yeah."
How much did you get yours for? Because they're like at $350 a piece now.
I think like 120 or something.
Oh, you gotta, and you're in the nosebleeds, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, the tickets for the
The
game.
nosebleeds are $350 now.
Yeah. The tickets for the game, I was like, you know what? it's my nephew's first game. I want to be there.
Yeah.
I was like, so what was great about like, so when my brother went to Stanford, so it was still in the Bay Area, so it was like, boom, we could go, 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 go. That's why me, selfishly, I was like hoping when he was doing his Final Four, I was hoping he picked Minnesota because I would have ticket every game.
Yeah,
but you,
facts.
but LSU now it's more man. Do I got the funds to get there?
Yeah, I mean, if you can, like, and it's hard. It's hard with like specific games at night because we're all trying to plan. Like, we're trying to go to certain games. Like, I think me and Vic were talking about. We went to Penn State last year when they played Michigan State, and it. I don't know if have you ever been to Penn State before, Happy Valley?
Oh no.
All right,
Hey,
so
good night, North Steve. Blah, blah.
Northfields.
Yeah, the beer's kicking in. Leave me alone.
Nah, I hear you, bro. Um, but yeah, we went to Happy Valley last year, and it was real cool. Their stadium, you can tell is old. Like when you're walking around, like in the middle of it, where all the shops and shit are, it's like a shithole. It looks like you're in a construction yard.
Oh
But
wow.
you'll never hear this from anybody else because it's so sacred there. But as like a fan that's not a Penn State fan, I'm like, this is a shithole. Like, what the fuck is going on? And then we walk up to our seats. It's a great stadium though. The only thing is they got these two little bitty ass scoreboards. I'm like, can y'all upgrade it like to the new stuff? But fans are great. Atmosphere was great. We had a really good time. Um, so I think we're planning on going to Iowa for the whiteout game. So
Oh nice.
that'd be cool. And then I have a buddy that lives in Lincoln, Nebraska. And I told him, I was like, bro, I want to go to a night Nebraska game
So I
and a
got
night LSU game too.
so one of my nephew's visits. It was at Nebraska, so we all drove out there. It was raining, but man, that game was fun watching Nebraska play.
Did you watch it at night?
Yeah, it was.
Oh my god, bro. I see the highlights and like just watching that shit. It's like I want to be there. Their stadium is beautiful. They got all the new technology there.
Yeah,
They
it
got the
was a good
LED
time.
lights now.
It was
Whoosh.
when Troy Walters from he used to play at Stanford with my brother, and he was the OC at Nebraska.
Mm,
And so that's why we went down there and watched that. I was like, man, I got to see Troy. So I was like, let me tag along.
yeah. How was Stanford when you went and saw games there?
Oh, it's crazy because so players, so when they have tickets, a lot of times those home players, if like players from like different states don't have family and stuff coming in, they would give their tickets to like players that are more local. So it was nice because my brother would be able to get tickets from other players to just so more of his family would be able to go. It'd be on the 50-yard line, like just in the player section.
So the only thing that you pretty much had to pay for was just getting there to the game.
Exactly. It,
Oh.
it, it, it was a beauty.
How many games did you go to?
I tried to go to it, see on a personal. Back then, I was running them up. So
Awesome. I feel you.
I was running amok. So
Mhm.
it was, oh, I could go? Yeah, I'll be there.
Facts. 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 Yeah. I mean, that would be pretty cool. I'm sure there. Did you ever go on our campus and all that too?
Yeah,
Is
it,
it
it, it was beautiful.
my
So,
wife? My wife played at Syracuse. She played field hockey up there, and their campus is really cool. You could tell it's like really old and a lot of old architecture and shit. That's what makes it so cool. But at some of their agriculture department and their big ass library that they have, you can literally like how you get to the games. You can take buses from like their dorms. I don't know why they have the bus stops there, but their dorms, and then they go right over to the stadium and they drop you off right there by the agriculture building in their library, and you pretty much just walk through the campus and the stadium's right there, like the dome. So, and their dome is still old as shit too. It's all brick and everything, but it's
So
cool.
so that's why I was asking you about the NIL because there's some schools like a Stanford that they're not really doing that whole NIL thing because they're like, you know what, we're Stanford. This is a almost Ivy League school to where
Private school, yeah.
yeah, to where the merit of you just being at this school should be enough for you to want to come here. To where I've been, I'll read some Stanford stuff to where like the old former players are like, hey, if Stanford's going to want to be a good football team again, they're going to have to do something. But Stanford's like, you know what?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that is a good point. I don't know what they're gonna do with Stanford because they're not gonna kick them out of being Division One and FBS. They're not gonna. They're too prestigious a school to kick them down like that. But the NIL, yeah, is gonna make them suck for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, still their best days were behind them after Andrew Luck left.
Yep.
And Andrew Luck and them didn't really have that much of like a huge success either, so they've always been kind of mid. I don't know. Stanford's in a weird spot.
I I don't want to let Hayden know that I was at that Rose Bowl game that freaking Wisconsin beat Stanford.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Damn, damn, man.
Hey,
What? Sarah said, "Have you guys been to U.S. Bank Stadium?" I have not yet, but I plan on going. I don't know if it'll be this year, but if somebody invited me, if Yogi's like, "Hey, yo, I'm gonna go in there on week 5," you let me know.
yeah.
I'm gonna make a trip.
Hey, Sarah, I've actually played at US Bank Stadium.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. That was an experience in itself. Just actually playing football at US Bank Stadium,
Yeah.
I'll never forget.
See you, Mary. Have a good night. Appreciate you coming through.
Yep. We're about to wrap it up. I'm almost done with my 6th beer. So
Well, last question for you, Yogi. Which stadiums have you been to, NFL and college, that you can think of?
Stanford, Gophers,
Hmm.
um, Oakland, like the Raiders, but they shared it with the A's.
Yep.
Um, and whatever stadium that they host the Rose Bowl at.
Oh, that's just in Pasadena, the Rose Bowl Stadium.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that bad boy.
So you've been to 4 basically. All right. So let's see. I've been to Carter Finley Stadium, NC State. It's one of my favorite places that I've been. The Carrier Dome, which is not the Carrier Dome anymore. JMA, whatever stadium, the fuck ever name they named it now. That's so stupid, bro. It's been the Carrier Dome probably since you've been a little boy.
Yeah, I'm old.
So yeah, but I'm saying that Carrier been around a long time, bro. So Carter Finley, Carrier Dome, uh, BB&T Field. That's Wake Forest. Been there several times. Been to University of Maryland's field. Been to Happy Valley. Um, Lincoln Financial Field where the Eagles play. M&T Bank Stadium where the Ravens play. Been to what did they call it when the Redskins were still around? I know they call it something else, but I've been there, whatever their original name was. Uh, Been to Bank of America. It's where the Panthers play. I want to say I've been somewhere else too. Oh, I was at the Hall of Fame game, so I was in that stadium. Did you know a high school team actually plays all their home games there?
Oh wow,
Yeah, I didn't know that shit.
I am surprised. Now, okay, so Texas they do football different because I look at some of their high school stadiums and I'm like, wow.
There's a school The dopest high school stadium. Me and my dad went down the rabbit hole. One day you just have to go like just start googling high school stadiums around the country. Shit's crazy. There's a there's a school in Washington State that has a stadium right on the water and it's big as shit. Like you can see the campus and their campus looks like a college. And then you walk down these flight of stairs and you get to all the seats, but it's ground level to almost like the ocean in the background. It's fucking wild. I'm like, they play there on Fridays? Damn, that is crazy. Yeah,
Oh,
but Texas schools, they're all like that, man. They some of them are bigger than like the stadium that Rice plays in.
oh, yeah. It's
North Texas and all them shits. Like high school teams.
Texas, Florida. I would say California.
Ohio.
Oh, Ohio. Those states produce some ballers. I mean,
Yeah,
other
yeah, my buddy that lives in Nebraska, he was like, you got to think about it in Nebraska, there ain't shit else but football up here. So I was like, these are literally businesses on Saturdays that shut down just to go watch Nebraska games. He's like, yep, that's seriously how it is. Like, we'll see you on Sunday. And shut down their whole shit.
all right. So we're about to wrap it up. Hey, for the
Yes,
seven
sir.
that are still in here that hung out with us this long, be sure to check out East Coast Gridiron on YouTube. Wealth of knowledge. And I want to thank everybody. A special shout out to Dante for just jumping on here with me tonight. He's a night owl like me. Loves to talk football. But
Yes, sir.
thanks to everybody. And y'all have a good rest of your weekend.
Appreciate y'all. We'll see you later.